Welcome to the Queen's Lair, a lifestyle podcast. Get inspired by our latest tips and information about small business, entrepreneurship, natural hair, travel, food, and even relationships. Stay tuned for another great episode. I am your host, Renee Patrice. Welcome back to my podcast, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. I'm going to jump right into today's subject, and I am going to be talking about rebranding. Okay, I have seen this happening, and I just felt like I needed to mention it. I am not going to name names of people's businesses and all of that because we don't do that over here, but we are going to have a very honest conversation about rebranding. Okay, one of the things that I see is that, and I think this is amongst a lot of entrepreneurs, is that we are definitely a creative bunch, and our focus changes quite a bit because we have so many different things that we're juggling at one time, and we can get bored really easily. So just because you are bored, just because you're getting tired of looking at your logo does not mean that you need to jump into a complete rebrand. Okay? Rebranding should be taken very seriously because you are changing sometimes the trajectory of your business. Understand why you are doing this rebrand or why you feel like you need to do a rebrand and step lightly. Map out a plan of how you're going to, first of all, figure out why it is that you need a rebrand. Are you trying to attract different types of customers? I know I've seen some businesses where they seem to have a lot of, I guess you could say a more immature content. I'll say it that way. I think that's the best way to put it. They have more immature content, more funny content, which tends to attract a certain type of crowd. So they want to kind of raise the bar and kind of level up their business. So they tend to want to rebrand so that they can incorporate the more, adult audience, and not just adult audience, but audience that is going to resonate with where they are trying to go in the future. Rebranding, nothing wrong with it. You just have to make sure that is really what you need for your business right now. I'm all for a good logo revamp. I'm all for a good rewording of a website. I actually did a light rebranding with my website, still the same colors, but I lightened up the background of the website. The website was black and it had the splash of the teal color. People know that my colors are black, gold, and teal. The teal was brought in because I wanted to kind of give it more of a pickup, on the website and also on my business cards and all of that. But now the backing of my website is now white. And I can tell you the things on the page pop so much more when you have a neutral background, especially if it's black or if it's white. But I had a black website for a long time, and people did love it because it was kind of like a movie screen. So anything that was put against it stood out. But now I felt like I wanted to soften it up a little bit more. So I put the white background in there, and now everything just really pops. So it has like a brighter feel to it. And when I go to my website now, I feel like, wow, it kind of even gives me a different feeling. And I see my website every day. So can you imagine somebody who's coming there to the website for the first time? So I really love the change, that small change actually, what that small change actually did for my website. And I also changed my logo a few years ago. My logo was more feminine because my main audience is Black and Latina female entrepreneurs. So I was always appealing to the female entrepreneur crowd. So my logo was definitely connecting to those ladies who, in business, which I didn't have any problem with because that's my audience. But I wanted to make my logo a little bit more universal, but I also wanted to raise the level of it. And I said, okay, I want to go with something that had to do with Onyx Queen, Queen being regal, So I made my logo gold. So it's tones of gold, almost like gold leaf. And then over the Q in the word queen is a beautiful silver crown. So it completely changed the look of my logo that I had at, several years ago. And it just brought so many different a different cachet of clients started coming to the door. And I was like, wow, I started to attract more corporate business, which I wasn't getting a lot of prior to that. And I said, well, what is it that I changed? I can't imagine, like, where is this coming from? And really, I think it was the look of the website and also the logo, which is part of your branding. So the messaging was still the same, but the look of the website and the logo changed, and it just attracted a different type of business. So I said, wow, this is it was a really great thing for my business. And the residual of that from several years ago is still, is still coming to me from all of that. So it's just amazing. But I will say this, rebranding takes a lot of thought and a lot of, well planned out processes. One thing that I've seen with a brand not too long ago, actually quite recently, and again, I'm not saying any brand names, but this particular brand has changed their logo. Man, I think they've changed their logo, I want to say 3 times in the last year. And not just changed the logo, but actually changed the colors of their logo. It's like they are struggling to figure out what works. And I think they have finally settled on the logo that they have now, which looks amazing. But it definitely caused people to be talking in their comments like, oh, are you no longer doing XYZ business anymore? Or what's going on? People were definitely confused. And I saw that, I understand people get bored with their logos, or they see something out there and they're like, oh, I could do that to my logo. I could add in, whatever. Less is more. I will tell you that. I don't even have a drawn logo for my stuff. My logo, quote unquote logo, is words, is literally Onyx Queen Media. It's the words, the name of my business, the wording and the font. That is literally, and it could be with the crown or without the crown, but with the crown is, the whole thing. And what you do is you take your one logo and you can make a shorter version of it or a longer version of it. So I have the longer version all in one line, and then I also have a version where it's just the Q from the wording, right? So it's the Q from the queen with the crown on top. Sometimes I just have that as a profile picture or, whatever when it pertains to my business. And I don't even have to have the whole business name anymore. People will like, oh, I recognize that, So be very careful how you rebrand. Think about all of what is going to be entailed with that and the process of how you're going to introduce this new branding, especially when it comes to the look of how you're going to do things. Sometimes you can bring people in on the branding with you, where if you have maybe 3 or 4 different choices, let the people decide which one that they like, which logo that they like, Then you can do a post that shows your new logo on actual pieces of collateral. So your new business cards with the new logo on there, the new packing boxes that you're using with your new logo on there, notepads or thermoses with your new logo on there, and let people kind of get used to and warmed up to the idea. Because one thing that we do as businesses is that when you look like you're flip-flopping back and forth, it causes people not to necessarily trust. And sometimes it's unconscious. They don't even realize that they're not trusting your business. But when you keep making those changes, it makes it seem like you're never settled in what it is that you're doing. And sometimes that can be off-putting to people, because really when it comes down to shopping with folks or having brand loyalty, it's the know, like, trust factor. People get to know you, they get to trust you, and that is what makes them spend money with you, or do business with you or invest in you, so you have to have a solid, a solid understanding of your brand. And also, if you are planning on doing a rebrand, take people along on that journey so that they're not completely thrown off when they see that your logo used to be red yesterday and now today it's blue. What happened with that? Explain to people why you're making the change. If it's not too personal, tell them why you're making the change and say, what, my logo is kind of masculine and I want to soften it up a little bit. Whatever the reasons that you are making the change or doing the rebranding, if you bring your loyal followers into the process, it will actually give a lot of, I don't even want to say the word clout, but it kind of gives your business some clout, because it's like, wow, they involved me in the decision making, and they'll feel like they had a part of helping to build your brand, which really creates amazing brand loyalty. So be careful when you are rebranding, and make sure that it's a valid reason, not just because you're tired of looking at your old logo. All right. So rebranding, make sure that it is at the right time. I would not do a major rebrand around major holidays and things like that, because you want to be recognizable so that people will spend their money with you, especially if you're a business that has products. You want to be recognizable on the shelf. Christmas time is probably not the time to do a rebrand, but what I would do is at the top of the new year, then you rebrand at the top of a new year, new business. You know how people say, new year, new me. Okay, new business, new brand. Then it's like, oh wow, we have turned over a new leaf, and now at the top of a fresh new year, it would probably, a rebrand would be more accepted. It would be easier to, put into motion. But we don't want to be changing labels and everything after Thanksgiving, right before people are going to go shopping on Black Friday. You know what I'm saying? We want to be able to find those brands that we know, like, and trust for the holidays. And we want to know that their messaging, and their packaging is what we remember, so if they can't find you on the shelf, they're not going to be able to shop with you, or they're not going to remember, what your packaging looks like. So make sure that when you are rebranding, that it has rhyme or reason to it, and I know that's a hard thing for people to understand, but make sure that you put together a good team, that can advise you. If you need to find a brand manager, hey, Onyx Queen Media is here. If you need to do a meeting with me about that, we definitely do a lot of, Zoom calls and whatever have you, and talk with clients about rebranding, because I do have a lot of clients that want to rebrand, and it may be finding a new logo, it may be finding a new color palette, and we do all of that stuff. It may be finding new products that you want to offer from your business. Whatever it is, we can come up with anything, but make sure that it's just not because you're bored. Make sure it's because you're trying to move into a different season of your business. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with a rebrand, but it should be well thought out. Okay, so if you have any other questions on rebranding, you have any questions on the steps to rebranding, that is definitely a consultation phone call that you can do with us. Just visit www.onyxqueenmedia.com. That's ONYXQUEENMEDIA.com. Keep the conversation going. Find us on social media at Onyx Queen Media on all socials, and feel free to email us info@onyxqueenmedia.com. We will talk to you tomorrow. Bye, you guys.